that's the big thing for me, is I always recognize I was like, I just want so much more from life. And I feel like everybody around me is okay with just being where they're at. You have to remember, every time you are making a decision, it's saying no to something else. Any sort of relationship, like between friends, between people, between adults, at the end of the day, you have to remember, if it came down to you or them, they're picking them. So who's gonna pick you? Once you're able to actually visualize, even just imagine that what you want is actually feasible, that a dream is not a dream, that a dream is a reality, from there on, nothing makes you want to work harder towards getting to that point.
How are you feeling today? You just took my camera. Crazy.
Oh, my bad. You know, cameras, they have a gravitational pull towards me. Sorry. Guys, this is not my ego. This is just my comedic humor.
Are you gonna have a different persona? Is that what they call it?
No. This is my persona.
Ego.
Alter ego.
Alter podcast ego.
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling energized, blessed, and highly favored. Bless up, wagwan.
Let's go. So you're actually on the podcast. It feels weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Long time coming.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
She's not. That's the first thing she said when I texted her. That just let me on know.
It was a joke.
It's about time.
Sorry. Give the people what they want.
Relax, G.
Sorry. Right. Let me calm down.
So how do you feel being in the chair, having the mic with the headphones?
I know. I'm going from watching this on YouTube to really being here. Really made it.
Yeah, have you ever now let me chill.
Oh.
I was gonna say, have you ever commented on the video?
Yeah, I have. When when you first started posting, but no, not recently.
Okay.
I'd put my little heart. I'm not like the fire emoji. Be like, oh, this was fire, bro. Like, get your engagement up, you know.
Okay. What's the word? Viewer. Yabsera's been viewing a lot, guys.
I've been here from the start.
What do you mean by
of
that?
the podcast. I have. When you first thought of making it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot. You gave me this. No.
Yeah.
Were you like
trying to discredit me?
Were you what was your role?
I remember you originally
Explain.
What is it? Okay, I'm not saying I contributed. I'm saying when Filimon was coming up with the idea of the podcast, he was telling me about it. I remember this. I remember you talking about the idea, and I was like, oh, this would be really good. And you were talking about you even asked me how about a logo? And we were on Canva, and we were looking at different logos.
Who's we? No, I'm joking. Yeah, you said we. I remember that.
That's
that.
Crazy.
Just
That's crazy.
Just playing.
Watch me storm her out. Okay.
The podcast gone bad.
No,
okay.
But that would be good for your engagement. No. But no, yeah. I literally I'm not saying I contributed. I'm saying I've seen you go through the whole process. It's very exciting to see you bring something to life. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
You can't do it.
She claps with her nails. I just spit. She claps with her nails, guys.
Clock it.
Can you hear it?
I think. Oh.
No.
I think that's just you rubbing your knuckles
I don't
together.
I have a pet peeve of having long nails.
That's good. As a man. Everybody get into that part.
Amazing start. Yeah, I need to, because I work with my hands. I just can't have with paper too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard to type with nails, but
I don't know how you do that.
But you got to do what you got to do. They make you more put together. Like a watch. It's the equivalent.
Of nails?
No, I would say for a guy, a haircut is the equivalent of a girl getting her nails and feet done. You wake up a little more put together.
No, it's not. Haircut for guys is makeup for girls.
Makeup?
Yeah.
You know what's makeup for guys? A hat and a beard and a goatee.
What? No, that's just your type.
No, I'm
She
saying
outed herself live on the podcast. If you have a hat, a goatee, you got it.
No, I'm saying guys who always wear hats, they're hiding something. Guys who have a goatee, see what they look like without their goatee. Guys without a beard, hiding their jawline.
That is.
It's their makeup. That's a guy's makeup.
You see?
And that's all.
As
That's
a
all
host,
what?
because I'm back here all the time, I gotta be careful what I say on my end of the stick.
Like,
But
it's not even the topic of discussion.
yeah.
Getting into the wrong conversation.
Anyways, Yabsera.
Yes.
Chilling on this day, beautiful day. It's a little cold today.
A little chilly.
I invited you on here because you do a lot of things.
I do.
You're a neuroscience student. You're currently going to Miami. It's an internship in Miami for 3 months.
Yep.
On your own, which is a lot. You're an oldest of 3. You're a Habasha. Right? Oldest of 3 girls, which is
all girls.
All girls. I've heard the FaceTime. She's very responsible.
Yeah.
Very good older sister. This morning she dropped her sister off to school, guys. But yeah, you do a lot of things. Also, I saw on your Instagram boxing, horseback riding.
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't even know you did that. And then there's one other thing that you did.
I play tennis.
Okay.
Let me think. Boxing, horseback riding, golfing.
Okay.
Let me think. What else could it be? I like to cook. Like to make content. Like to read.
Oh, content creating. Yeah, she has her own page. Link in the description, guys.
Ooh. That's a thing.
Huh?
I mean,
Oh, you don't want?
No. Yes.
Delete it off the
yes,
description.
No.
But yeah, she does her own content creation. Is all about.
Attempting.
Tell them what it's about.
So, guys, camera.
You
Gotta remember.
You can look at that one.
This one? Got it. No, most of the stuff I like to do is overall like betterment for your life. So like tips on like upping your career, upping better habits, lifestyle, a little bit of beauty, a little bit of kind of just wellness overall. Like if you know me, even right before we were recording, I was telling Filimon, like this hair product, this body product, this skincare product. Like if you know me, like that's kind of like my thing that I like to do. So I think it's all about upping your lifestyle, making sure you're getting to the best version of yourself. That's the main idea of the content.
Nice. I've been following her. I've been glazing the page. It's good. She's been giving me advice too.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, it's cool to see you grow in the content. See you start from the bottom up. Now we made it.
The trenches.
We made it. Yes. But about all the things that you balance, right? You're doing a lot of balancing, a lot of juggling.
Yes.
So were you always like that, or did you just start recently? Or was there like a shift that made you do that?
I think a really pinnacle point that if I had to narrow down to one moment, I remember that in the 4th grade, right? I was in like Catholic private school and I was with my mom, and I brought home some math homework that day and I really didn't know how to do it. So I asked my mom, like, hey, like, can you help me with my math homework, right? And my mom, balancing like 2 jobs at the time, like she was like, oh, just Google it. Like, why don't you just Google it? And that ended up being the response to a lot of things. And I was like, wait, kind of hit in my head that everything's kind of on my own. Like, if I want to understand something, it has to be on my own. Like, I really can't sit here and wait for someone to explain it to me. So if I had to think of like a moment where I made that shift, and like that also was the year that I became a big sister with my little sister. So becoming a big sister, realizing everything's kind of on my own and that I support myself, like I would say that's the change. That's how it's been since then.
Okay.
What would you say, Filimon, as a middle child?
I'm a young child.
Right. Youngest.
I'm to an amazing start, guys. Over 8 years we've known each other.
Oh my God. Let's ask Filimon if he knows what my birthday is. That's what I thought.
Okay, never ask a guy when someone's birthday is.
I know.
Okay?
I already know that rule.
Only day I need to worry about is today. That's all I need to worry about.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yo, live on the podcast, you asked me that too? Great.
You put me on the spot. I made a little mistake. March 4th.
I knew that.
You're December 31st, right?
Wait, did I say happy? I said happy. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I did. I did.
Yeah.
What are you clowning me about?
Because it was probably like on my story or something. Exactly.
No, I had. Don't you know when you click update after you say happy birthday? I think last year I said update, and then this year I said.
Oh, okay.
But anyways,
Not
I'm
too
not a
much
bad
now.
friend. Over 8 years we've known each other.
Wow.
Unc and Auntie having a chat today.
Auntie. I don't know.
We.
I feel like I still have my youth.
So you just turned 20.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. A little young.
What do you mean?
You're the auntie. No, I'm the... Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind. But, so you're studying neuroscience.
Yes.
Why neuroscience?
So...
Wait, one more thing. Neuroscience major and then economic policy minor?
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind when picking these?
All right. So with neuroscience, the story behind it is essentially in 8th grade, right? We had the 8th grade science fair. And I kind of told myself, I was like, I just want to win, right? I just want to get first place. Like, I don't know what I'm interested in specifically, but I want to get first place. So I go on this website and I try and I'm like, I'm going to find the hardest project possible. And that project was, what is it? The effect of electromagnification on motor neurons. So basically it's talking about like, can you shock neurons back to life? Which is almost like trying to bring something back from the dead, right?
I was about to say that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Which obviously hasn't been done and hopefully will not be done, right? But what I'm saying is as I did research on this, I found out about like stem cells. I found out about like essentially how the neural network worked. And I was like, wait, this is something that like I'm never going to hit end. I'm never going to hit a final point. I'm always going to have something more to develop off of, right? So that's when I was like, oh wait, I actually really like this. And before that, I always thought maybe I'd be an engineer because I just liked building things. Yeah. And then I was like, I kind of hate physics. So I was like, I don't know if engineering is kind of going to be my thing. Like, so I was like, okay, so I like building things. I like the brain. So then from there, I was just designing different like tools and coming up with different ideas. And what I submitted for that project was like a format or almost a, how you would say, like replica of what a machine that could use electromagnification to essentially like shock motor neurons to see if they're even there would look like. Because obviously I'm in 8th grade. I can't do that on my own. I don't have those resources.
8th grade you. Oh,
and
wow.
That project got first place. And I realized, I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. And I actually enjoyed it. And like, it was fun for me. Like, it didn't feel like work at any point throughout this process. And I still have that paper of like the whole layout of the idea of the plan. And I would hang it up I have it up in my dorm room. And I would hang it up and I'd be like, this is like the reminder, like this is the start. And from there, I'm like, I'm very grateful to have that privilege of always knowing what I wanted to do. Because a lot of my friends don't have that. And so you're struggling in that moment right now, especially because we're like early 20s. Early 20s.
Yeah. You can say that out loud now.
Where everyone's kind of like, what's my purpose? So I'm glad I've kind of always known in my heart that's my purpose.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
I need a round of applause. It's cool. It's cool that you have it hung up. Mm-hmm. Reminds you of why you started. I think that's like the epitome. That's like the thing that you need in life. Remember why you started.
Yeah.
So that was like the very point in time that led you to neuroscience.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And like, what kind of things did you learn in neuroscience?
Well, since then,
like you're studying right now, you're halfway in. So
studying right now is a little different from when I was doing these projects, because when I find a question or a problem, I like the idea of like being given an issue and like being told to find a creative way to solve it. So it's a little different than your average classroom structure, which is where like I'm learning neuroanatomy, or I'm learning like all the different parts of the brain. I'm learning like where connections happen. But on the outside, like on my own, I'm learning like, how do these connections affect like our daily lives? How do these connections affect people's ability to want to get things done? How do these connections, like, how do they relate to, why this person is like hardworking and this person is like feeling stuck in the same place? Mm-hmm. So that's the type of learning I'll do on the outside on my own. But in the classroom structure, I'm usually just, learning about the basic autonomy and anatomy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, but I remember as far as economic policy goes, I attended an economic conference, the Sadie conference, which is like for Black women in economics in near the end of high school, I think junior or senior year. And I loved that conference so much. And it brought me to the idea of it's another format where you can find a bunch of problems and you can never find a solution, or you can find a bunch of problems as you're finding solutions. So I was like, I like that format of like never feeling complacent, because that's a big thing for me. I don't like feeling complacent or like stuck in anything. And I came up with the idea like, oh, wait, I have the possibility of thinking of like new economic policy that can change like how countries are related to each other, or it can change like how everyday people live their lives. And that was just so interesting to me. And at that conference, I met Dr. Anna Gama. She's a trade representative for the U.S. government. And I talked to her about an idea I had. It was about restructuring African economics so that it wasn't all like exportation. Like, you know how Africa, like essentially everything's exportation. Our resources are going out everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, why don't we redistribute the economy to be more like domestic based, and then, you know, create more trade relations within African nations? And what would that look like? And what would that plan look like? And I loved coming up with that. And even like, there's a video actually of me on my laptop of me when I was 16. Because I was like, you know, because in the 5th grade, I made a Google Doc, and I was like, okay, so this is like what I'm going to do like when I run for president. And
I remember you saying something like that in middle school.
Mm-hmm. And so it's like titled like Yabsera 2055 campaign. And it's like all of my positions on immigration, on economics, on infrastructure, like all these like political stances you would take as a candidate, right? And then when I'm 16, I was like, you know what would be really good for a campaign idea video if I had a video of me young, like when I was younger, saying like, oh, play this during your campaign video. Like, I always knew I was going to make it.
Oh, that's fire. That's fire.
So I have this video of me when I was 16 being like, hey, Yabsera, this is me like at 16, December, this and this. Like, I know, like, what is it? I know that I want to make a change and an impact, and I hope to one day be able to like lead this country and be able to talk more, or be able to showcase that like I'm advocating for change in the future, and basically talking about like how I want to be president one day. But I always kind of had a subconscious thought, like, if I was president, like, I feel like I'd low-key get assassinated, like,
yo,
because of how like just radical change would be as far as like in a positive way. But yeah, that's how that all integrates. I've always liked politics. I've always liked international relations, and I've always liked neuroscience. No, those two don't collide together a lot, so that's why like they're pretty separate. But those are like my two, you know, passions.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a very interesting origin.
What about you, Filimon?
Me?
How'd we get to where we are today?
Me?
Yes.
Who's asking about me? What exactly, like
your passions?
My passion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Oh my god.
Who wasn't ready for this?
The podcast. I don't know exactly what it looked like from your perspective, like from the outside world looking at me when I was starting. But all I know is that I saw my cousin starting a YouTube channel. And I was like, dang, I want to start something. I want to do something. So I wanted to start something, but I didn't want it to be like just everyday vlogs and something.
Yeah.
That, you know, I wanted to
Halo
provide.
gang. Like.
Let me chill.
Yeah.
Let me chill. I wanted to make a difference. So I started the podcast audio. I just got a little microphone, $80 to $100 microphone on a Windows 7, like a chunky.
I remember. I remember when you were first starting out, I remember this microphone, and you would make me download these apps to like test the audio, and then to also like see how it sounded. I remember.
Oh, she was my D1. Like, she helped me with everything, guys. Like audio testing. My phone's making noise. Audio testing, video testing. I think Riverside.
Yep, that's what it
Riverside.
was.
I just used that last week too. It was pretty good. Yeah, she was there since day one. Yeah. So like, you need friends like that. You need people.
Give me my credit. Give me my credit. Give me my credit.
If Sarah was there for me, I have the videos. The videos. And when you run for president,
yeah,
one day,
first interview will be here.
I'm the first person that interviewed Yabsera. Let's go. But mental health, on a real note, I was going through a lot of things mentally. So I was like, how can I provide that for someone else? Created the podcast. I never watched any podcast before that. Even till today, I don't really watch podcasts like that. Which I don't know if that makes me a bad podcaster.
Maybe it's like the effect, like you make podcasts so you don't really watch them.
Yes. I think so.
Maybe.
No clue.
This just heard here.
Yeah, and then I moved to video college because I felt more comfortable in my skin. And, and then... No, I don't know. I was like, it's time. For a while, people kept saying do YouTube, but I was scared. I was so scared of the camera. And then did video college, and then here we are now. It just kept
progressing. The snowball is forming.
Hopefully, I don't know. We're trying new things.
You gotta speak it into existence.
I never speak my goals into existence. Is that what makes us different?
Maybe, actually. I don't know. That's the thing. For me, I'm really happy that I have this mindset, and I've talked about this before. Like, I have this blind confidence that, like even if as soon as I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's, like, the integrity that I have to hold myself to. Actually, I remember. You remember?
Yeah.
So, we were preparing her for an interview one day, right? And she was really nervous and everything for this interview. And she was like, Yabsera, everyone believes in me. This sat with me a lot. She's like, everyone is believing in me, but here I am nervous, not thinking I'm going to like do well. But when nobody believes in you, you still think like you're going to succeed no matter what. And I was like, you're right. Because every time I do something, it's always like, I'm the only person who believes in me. And I think at that point, like once you have that type of mindset, it's like, boom, like no one could say anything to you because at the end of the day, you know you're going to get it done because you know yourself and you hold yourself accountable. But I always stuck with that moment. What
helped you have that mindset?
I would say like just having such an independent childhood. Like everyone's parents, maybe they guide them towards a path. My parents did not tell me anything about like what to do in life. They just told me I have to get good grades and I have to be successful. And everything was up to me. And I kind of saw my environment and I was like, I want so much more out of this. Like, I want more than to be like in Virginia. I want more than to like sit here and have a complacent life. I don't want to work for somebody. I don't want to like have somebody tell me what I can and can't do. Like when people ask me, what's your idea of success, right? I always say being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Like I have the freedom to book a flight, go to a new place, boom, be there for the day, come back, do as I please. Like having that freedom is like what's successful to me. And I know that freedom costs sacrifice. And so I knew I was going to have to make those sacrifices now. So that's why I'm like, so what? The people close to me could... Because the people around me, like, everyone probably has that, like, support system. But my parents are very... Like, my mom likes to say she has a military style of parenting. She loves to say this, which I don't think she does. But she loves to say that. And in my eyes, it's kind of like a tough love. So I was always, like, the one being like, I don't care who says what. I can do whatever I want. Like...
So, like, kind of like fight back.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of be like, I'm gonna prove these wrong. Literally. Yeah.
Because typically the oldest child is like the opposite. They're the ones that they're more stuck to the rules, and the youngest is more like straight away and have their own, it's diluted. So do you think it's the other way around?
Would I say my youngest sister is more strict to the rules? I think we're all very similar. Like my little sister, the one right under me, she's 15, and I would say, if I had to say anything, like, she's very similar to me. Like, nobody can tell her that she isn't going to do something because she's going to do it. And I like to see that in her. But my youngest sibling, like, I don't really see her. I don't think any of us are very rule following, like being like, oh, I'm gonna have this complacent lifestyle, I'm gonna work for this office job, and I'm gonna build a nice life here and stay close to family. Like, no, we all want to be far away and try new things and like be in new places.
I think that's something that they learn from you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a little influence.
And it's a lot to receive something and then filter it out yourself. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, but to teach 2 younger siblings as well.
Yeah.
So props to you. That's definitely not easy. I am the youngest of two older girls. So I can see that I can see the work and the trauma being passed down. And you really got to like work with it so your kids don't have it as well. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. So do you think you carry that to your online media presence? Like being like the big sister of content?
I think that's like the good keyword. No, I think that's like my overarching goal is that I'm really good at just giving advice. I'm really good at getting people to like where they want to be. Like a lot of the times you'll see even in some of my friendships, there were moments where it's like they're going through something and I'm like, okay, we're going to have like an action plan and we're going to get out of this. Like, so I think I'm just very good at like, I love helping people get to the goals that they want to reach. That is so like, that just makes me happy. So I think that does like show a little in my content and show a little in like the things that I like to post, like, oh, like these are the ways like you can start early on, you know, being successful. Cause I felt like nobody did that for me. So my mom didn't know anything. Like my mom also, like being the first generation, like college student, like nobody walked me through any sort of process ever. So I always was learning new things on my own. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to put these people in the same position.
Yeah. I respect that.
Respect.
Deeply. Wow. I know you're making it sound easy, but I'm sure
it's not. It's not easy. Like
difficult.
No, it's definitely not easy. I feel like the way I'm describing it is like, oh, like I was just independent, but it wasn't like I was independent because I wanted to be independent. I was independent because like when I say like no one was like supporting me, like no, my family's not a words of affirmations family.
Oh yes, you can say that triple times over for me too. Yeah, but
they're very much not. And I remember like, and even if they don't understand, they'll do like what they can to the amount that they understand. I had to learn that they're only a product of their environment.
Ooh,
for example, exactly. That was a big. We're gonna get you on that, but that was a big moment. Like I remember middle school, we had a graduation, right? And I wasn't valedictorian. I did great in middle school, but like you don't need to be valedictorian in middle school. Anyways, my mom goes to the graduation, and I remember I told her at this time, I was like, oh, I think I'll be an anesthesiologist. I think I told her that like 2 years prior.
I remember you telling me that.
I think one day I just searched up highest paying job. I think every person did that at one point and was like, anesthesiologist. All right. That sounds good.
Put people to sleep. I remember my memory is clicking today. Yeah. There's so many things. Okay.
And I remember I had told her this offhand comment a long time ago. And so that we were in a car ride from the graduation and she was like, I don't think you're going to become an anesthesiologist. I don't think you're going to do it because you weren't valedictorian. So I don't think you're going to do anything you said you're going to do. And I was there. I was like, it was like revving up in me. I was like, I'm going to do everything I want to do and more. And I'm going to have like, and I'm going to stunt on you. like that was my mindset in the car. I was like, cause it's just always been like, now my drive and my will is never out of revenge or out of spite, but for a second, like when I was younger, it was always like I gotta prove that I'm not gonna be subjected to this little life.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of like noticed yourself in like third person, like, wow, this is the environment I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I just always had like a feeling like in my soul. I was always like, this is like, I'm like, I can do so many big things. I know I can. Like, I could like be a big name, but why would I sit here and like let my life fall into like this pattern of other people's lives and what other people want for me? Like, that's, why would I let that happen? So, yeah. So that's the big thing for me is I always recognize I was like, I just want so much more from life. And I feel like everybody around me is okay with like just being where they're at.
Yeah, especially like in immigrant households. There's a lot of, how do I say it? It's very heavy inside, like the rules, the values,
tradition,
very traditional. So like outworking that, especially as an older sibling. I know I keep talking about that, but it's
gotta rap.
As a younger sibling, I can admit I was spoiled, but yeah, it's a lot. So we have to outwork that.
It is a lot, but I think I got it the best. Like, I got to be the first to get out the house, the first to experience life on my own. Like, I even remember, I think I was saying this like earlier, but like when I moved myself, like I moved myself into my first dorm my freshman year on my flight, and I landed there at midnight. And then I'm like in this whole new place and I'm scared. And I was like, I remember on the flight, like one thug tear just like goes across. I'm like, I'm an adult now. I have to do everything. Like, I already do so much on my own. And all right, let it out. Let it out.
Laugh at that. That's messed up. But
yeah, I was like, I already do so much on my own. And now that's only like tripled. And now on top of that, there's like no comfort to confide in. Like, there is no home. Like, I'm making a new home here.
Like, nowhere else to fall back on.
Yeah, like it's do or die.
Wow. See, I've never, like, currently I'm not in the experience of living on my own. Live with the fam still, but
Rep the fam.
Rep the fam.
What? W.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, I'm just like 2 L's.
Sorry. I figured you of all people, being the oldest, you've kind of had like that responsible nature. So I didn't feel like it'd be that different for you.
No, it was easy to transition, but it was kind of just like, it was like, I felt like I missed out on my childhood because I was like, wow, like now there really is no going back and like trying to give myself like those childhood experiences because it's done now. I'm an adult. I got to get it together. Like, if I had to like come to a conclusion what that was about.
So it kicked in the second the tear came out.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Only thug tears around here.
So there is a lot of discipline that comes to what you do.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't know how to take care of themselves, how to live on their own, and to not only take on a couple hobbies, but take on 12 that you're doing. So how do you have that discipline? Like, where does that come from? What helps you maintain it?
I think discipline is just a byproduct of will, and the will that I had to want a certain type of life for myself. Like, essentially like a practice that I had, right? So what I would do is one night I closed my eyes and I envisioned, what does my dream life look like? What does everything I want coming to fruition look like? And I wrote it down on paper, and it was like 8 pages front and back. Everything, every single detail of what I wanted. Because once you're able to actually visualize and speak into, or like even just imagine that what you want is actually feasible, that a dream is not a dream, that a dream is a reality, from there on, nothing makes you want to work harder towards getting to that point. And that's why I always am putting myself in different environments, always wanting to say like, oh, like I'm going to try something new. I'm going to put myself in an uncomfortable situation because at the end of the day, it's going to bring me closer to that higher version of Yabsera. Like when people ask me like, who's your role model, right? I always found this interesting. I don't have a role model. So I would always say like, future me is my role model.
I always do the same thing. No one understands me when I say that, but continue. Please speak on this.
It's because, like, well, one thing I think there's definitely a role model epidemic. I think our generation, like, there's not enough role models for us. And then so another thing is that for me to look up to somebody, you have to be doing everything I want and like more. And the only person I see doing everything I want and more is my future self. Like I'm speaking that into existence, that she is going to have the life that is so inspirational to me. And that's why I always say that if you know me, like if anyone's ever asked me who's my role model, I always say my future self, even if it comes off I guess, arrogant in some ways. I'm not afraid to come off arrogant for the sake of advocating for myself.
So remembering about your future self, like would future self me approve of what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, am I working hard? I'm working hard for her. Am I making her life easier?
Because every day is like a decision. Like
every day is a
towards that.
decision. Like, I remember one time, so I had this whole David Goggins phase. And I remember one time one of his like affiliates or associates was making a podcast episode. And they talked about when you wake up early in the morning for the gym, you're waking up because what? You're waking up and are you deciding to go to the gym? It can't be even a decision. There shouldn't even be room for a decision to be made because you're going to regardless. That is discipline. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm not feeling well. It doesn't matter if this and this is in the way. Like, I'm not choosing to do it. It's going to happen. It's not a choice. It's already something that's fact and set in stone. And that's how you have to approach things. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I do have to wake up in the morning and not think, do I want to go to the gym? I wake up in the morning saying, I have to go to the gym.
Wow. So you said it like inside of your value system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I know our value system and belief system is like, it's more consistent than our emotions.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm getting it from. Okay. Wow.
And another thing, like, to bring it to the neuroscience side, our brains what they do is they're a predictive model, right? So your mind is always predicting what's happening next. And it's not based on like a reactive model. It's not meant to always think of reacting. Like, every time before you're doing something, before I even like lean in or lean out, my brain is predicting like what movements I'm going to do and how to prepare for that. And so the best way to cause growth and change, or like new connections, like new connections is what would be like, developing new actions, learning new things, is to take yourself out of that predictive model and put yourself in an environment where it's like there is constant change and you're not going to know what's this or that, but you're going to know that like it's going to cause growth at the end of it.
You're cooking. You're cooking today.
But yeah, when I learned that, because I learned that through finding out what's the best way to work out. The best way to work out is not having like, yes, you want to grow things over time and you want to know like you have a consistent routine. You do these workouts, right? But let's say I do A, B, and C workouts every like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I guess I can increase the weight, right, to cause change. But when, like, for example, when I took up boxing, when they're shouting out combos to you, like, and you don't know what's coming, the amount of calories you're losing is crazy. It's completely different because your brain is working overtime to try and predict the next move.
Oh, I didn't know. So you lose calories from your brain, like, working overtime?
Yes. Like, you have a resting metabolic rate, and that's just from your body, like, doing its thing, like processing, like digesting, like that's just from your body. Like, your body will lose calories just from doing that because of the energy it takes up. But the other calories you can lose are from like the work and force that you like exert yourself, right? And because our brain is a predictive model, if you're putting it in a situation where it cannot predict what's happening next when you're working out, you're getting a better workout because your brain is like working overtime on thinking like, oh, what's next? Like, how do I prepare for this and that? That's why I was like, when I realized, I was like, wow, like when I took up boxing, like the way like my muscle toned like a lot more, like I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm getting so much better of a workout and I'm like actually sweating. Like, usually I don't even sweat. And it's because I'm in a position where I don't know what's next. I'm just waiting to be told.
So, first off, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And do you apply stuff like this to like, do you apply your neuroscience aspects to all your
I try to apply it to a lot of my life, like to understand like what is my brain thinking in this moment? Like, how do I understand how like fear works, or how like being apprehensive to trying new things, like, or thinking about like what are the constants that are in my life that I'm like, oh, like what are the things my brain is really used to that I could like switch up?
What kind of things do you like?
Let's see. For example, So one thing about fear or like being scared about doing something is, so we have something called the amygdala. And the amygdala is where like...
That's back here, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like a little, yeah, it is. It is, but like a little more to the center. Like,
okay.
But you tried to cook?
Nah,
and so that's where like essentially the idea of fear comes out of, right? And so when I was thinking about like, how should I approach when I'm actually scared to do something? It's that I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I'm not scared because it's scary. I'm scared because the first process that's happening is that I'm thinking like I'm going to fail or something's going to go wrong. So I needed to like reframe my thoughts and be like, the first thing I think of is not going to be like something's going to go wrong. The first thing I think about is like it's what's going to go right. And then from there onwards. And then boom, like you're not thinking about fear. Like when people talk about public speaking, right? And how that's like one of the biggest fears that people have. And for me, public speaking is really easy. But there are moments where like I'm talking to a room and my voice is speeding up and this and that, and I'm feeling the nerves and such and such. And so I always am like, okay, I'm in a moment where I just need to stop thinking about what's going wrong and start thinking about like what's going right. And that completely shapes your like framework on being scared of something. You know, another cool fact? What is it? So when people who are blind, right? So people who are blind, you would assume that someone who's blind, essentially, like what you think they see is complete darkness, which isn't in fact like all true. What's happening when you're blind is that your optic nerve, is still like working. It's still processing things, but like as far as like your cornea and things that are like actually producing light and like vision, it doesn't work there, right? So we have something, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but we have something that allows us, and it was through evolution, that allows us to analyze like faces and like grimaces. So imagine someone smiles at you, right? Your natural emotion is to smile back. So that's like something that's an evolutionary cause, because this process allows you to read someone's face as a sign of safety. So with blind people, what you can do, and I'm not saying to, do this to any blind person you see, but you'll see that like you could grimace or make a face at somebody who's blind with specific types of blindness. And you'll see that they'll make it back, even though they can't see you, because their brain, that part of their brain is still processing that facial reaction you're making and responding to it, even though that person doesn't know that, well, that's what's happening.
Our brain is responding to a face that we can't even see? Yeah,
because it's you who can't see it, but your brain can still process it, like it's still taking it in. So think of a water bottle, right? Okay. This water bottle that, Filimon trekked down from the Himalayan mountains, right?
Yes.
So these are our eye, this is our cornea, this is like our retina, this is everything that's like on the surface level, right? This is like where everything's being processed. So this obviously is damaged. So this person can't see anything. This, however, isn't in specific types of blindness.
I think like this way. Yeah, okay.
In specific types of blindness. So the image that's being processed here is still going through and being like, it's being understood and taken in. It's going through, but it's not being processed here. It's only being processed here. In order for sight to work, they need to be working together.
Oh my gosh. That was a good
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Because it's literally like the eye, optic nerve. Like that's how you could think of it.
My jaws dropped. Like that's actually more. Give me more. wait. Back to this public speaking part,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll tie it to the blindness thing.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days ago, I had a speech
mm-hmm.
from my sister's grad party. People think that this is public speaking. This is not public speaking. Speaking to a camera is not the same thing.
Yeah.
I was really nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like public speaking. It is not I think that's just like one of the fears. That's my forte?
Not your forte.
Not my forte. Mm-hmm. I was really nervous,
mm-hmm.
and I couldn't think of anything at that point in time. when my fear, like the thing about fear, it just like, I can't even think about the things that go right at that point in time. Like, how do you even like slow down and even like think, you know?
I've definitely been in moments where it's like, I remember one time I was doing a pitch competition, and
what?
it's like a pitch competition. So you pitch an idea, whoever idea is the best gets money, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I love to do those. And I was doing a pitch competition. I was talking about my idea, and I'd already known everything, like the framework and the yada yada, this and that. But what I saw myself doing was, as I was talking, I was speeding up, and I was talking like, and this and this and this and this, and you know, and I could feel my breath shortening, and I was like, wait, the most powerful thing you can do when you're talking is silence, is pause, because silence is where people are allowed to like think. If you're trying to fill somebody's idea or somebody's mind with as much information as possible, there is very little for them to actually think about. Think about when like Steve Jobs does an Apple presentation. It's very few words, like very stoic, very like straight to the point. That's the best way to kind of allow someone to process what you're like saying and allow open room for them to have curiosity to want more. Because the whole thing about demand and supply is there's more demand when there's less supply. So less supply of words, more demand for understanding more of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's how I like to approach it. So if I'm having a talk, I'm like let's say I'm talking about an idea, and I'm like, well, I approach it first like a question. I'm like, so this and this has been happening in your life. We know. Like pauses like that, like taking pauses while you're talking, I found like is very powerful in conversation. Talking less is talking more, essentially.
She is cooking today. What? I never thought about that.
Yeah, talking less is always talking more.
More of like the when you stop talking, it kind of makes you more calm. I never even like put that
like
together.
you have to never be, and I literally did my senior project on this in Wakefield, which is public speaking, and you have to not be afraid to take a breath when you recognize that you're running out of words. All you have to do is just let the place sit in silence for a little bit, and then people are like, oh, like what's next? You know, people want more from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, how is Yabsera never scared of public speaking? Now we know. Free knowledge.
Yes. Yabsera University.
Yabsera University. You should actually open up a university because you know a lot of knowledge.
I do. That's one thing. I always thought like when I'm older, like it'd be so cool to open up like a school like in Ethiopia, like the Neguse Foundation.
The Neguse Foundation.
Yeah.
I would put my kids in there.
Yeah.
They're going to come out.
Geniuses.
But
that's something I always like to do. Like, even if I think about what I would want to do with my like success, like I always immediately thought, I was like, I want a big plot of land, and I want to like have a rehabilitation homes for like the homeless, because those are people that like you can really like. It goes back to me saying like I love helping people get to their goals, and who better to help than the people that feel like they're at point zero, that feel like they're at the bottom. Like all you have to do is provide them a home and a will, and showing someone you believe in them goes such a long way. I remember, let me see, who was it the first? It was one of my science teachers. This later on happens actually with one of the professors that I would have worked with now for like over 5 years. When they showed me that they believed in me, I was like, whoa. Because my whole life I'm like, I'm fighting for people to actually believe in me. And then I see someone who believes me, I'm like, I can't let them down. Like, so I always to tying it back to those people, like once you show someone you believe in them, that they can actually do something, most of the time that's the boost that they need.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you being the person that never really felt like you got a lot of people to believe in you, and then you first received that, I'm sure it was like very refreshing.
It was. I really like grasp onto that. Like that professor now, I still like, even though I don't have to, last summer I would go back to his lab and I'd be like, hey, like, let me just come in and work with the students. Let me come in and do a new idea. Like, thank you for showing me that you think I'm going to be great.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
This is an amazing podcast. I'm learning more about you even through the mic.
Yeah. Even after 8 years.
I was going to say you thought I was the middle child, but the birthday thing you're going to bring up. But that tying to you growing up and what you receive as little Yabsera.
Yes, we little Yabsera.
I'm sure there's a lot of things you had to unlearn. That's the thing about healing. We think it's about learning, but a lot of it is unlearning. And you talk a lot online about toxic habits and trying to work on that.
There's a lot of lessons have been learned.
So what are some lessons that you learned throughout your childhood into you being 20 years old now? Toxic habits, what is something that you feel like you could say to people who are dealing with toxic habits right now?
I would say you are always going to be the only person to get yourself to change. You can't sit around and look for something or someone to make you want to change. Because at the end of the day, if I'm in the alternate position and I'm with somebody and I want them to change, you have to understand that the only person that can make somebody change is yourself or themselves. So therefore, if you see an issue, you have to know that every decision you're making is you're saying yes or no to something. So like, and I remember somebody told this to me, like every time you're making a decision, you're saying no to something else. Like, let's say I want to sleep in. I'm saying no to working out. I'm saying no to doing something beneficial for my body. Let's say I want to eat some junk food or something. I'm saying no to like feeding good nutrients to my body. I'm saying no to like giving back and making myself feel good for the day just for this like one point of like satisfaction. So you have to remember every time you are making a decision, it's saying no to something else. And that's kind of how I always like to think about it. I'm like, every time I'm thinking I want to, you know, let somebody's comment slide, right? Like, let's say they say something slick. And I'm saying, oh, for the betterment, like, let me not be a disruption. I'm saying no to standing up for myself. And I'm also saying yes to their behavior. So that's how you always have to think everything is just small decisions that lead up to each other. But I always like that phrase, that you're saying no to something if you're saying yes to something else.
My brain is stirring right now.
For example, what's a decision that you made today that you can recognize, like you said yes to something, so you said no to something else?
I know one yesterday.
Yeah.
I chose to set up instead of not set up. Because I was thinking about just setting up the day of, but like, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So
you said yes to setting up, therefore you said no to what?
To delaying it, procrastinating it, and being lazy.
Yeah. There you go.
So there's always like a vice versa.
Yeah. So you have to always think of it like that. Like if I'm saying no, if I'm saying, oh, let me do this homework later, I'm saying yes to stress later. I'm saying no to giving myself a more like peaceful day the next day.
That takes a lot of self-control.
I feel like I have a lot of self-control in the sense that like, if you like, what's an example of self-control? Like, I don't know, some people would say like, if you put my favorite food in front of me and you put something that's good in front of me, I will eat something that's good for me, because I'm like, I'm so focused on being that higher version of myself that I'm like, it doesn't matter. It could be like my favorite meal in the whole world. It doesn't matter if it knows it's going to get me to where I want it to get me. That's how you have to think of it. Like monks practice detachment. And I always liked this idea that monks in detachment, what they do, I think I told you about this, is they create this very intricate sand art. And I'm forgetting the name that it's called. I actually went to a viewing of one where they create this very intricate sand art. And what they do is they essentially, after taking hours and hours or even days, like upon like almost a week of making this very, very intricate art with sand to practice detachment, they just mess it all up. They flip it over and then it's done. And no matter how hard you work towards something, there's like one decision that could put it through the drain or one decision that could like push it forward. And I like that I'm so detached from the idea of like, I like to stay detached from the ideas of things that are very like superficial. Like I like the fact that I can recognize very easily if I want something versus if I need something. And it's always good to be able to do that.
That's a skill. That's believe it or not, that's a really good skill.
Yeah.
Wow.
How would you say, like, do you feel like you're on par with yourself? Like, or where do you feel like you want to work on as far as detaching and knowing where you want versus need something?
I think after a lot of reflection, I've learned that I'm reasonable with knowing what I want and what I need. Like the other day, I was like upset with someone, and I was like, I didn't say anything crazy. It was just family. I guess I just had tension inside of me. But I was like trying to be aware with the fact that like, speaking with my hands, look at that. Trying to be aware of the fact that I'm going through something. This is on me. This is just a reflection of my poor maintenance of my life. And then what was the thing you said again? It was
detachment and like knowing need versus want.
Okay, I guess that was just an example of self-glazing that I'm self-aware. Okay, never mind. But I always do these mini practices of self-detachment. Like, I lose my keys or something. And like, instead of like, I'll look for it a little bit. And if I can't find it, I'm just like, oh, it'll just come to me one day.
Yeah.
In a couple days,
I have that same mindset.
I'll find the keys.
Yeah.
I'll find
I think
the little
we had this
thing.
conversation. I remember this because I would lose my keys a lot.
Your keys. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll just like, I'll lose a lot of things. A lot. All this equipment. Like, I'll lose a small battery or something. And as much as I want to find it, I'll look for it. If I can't, then I try to let go of it. And I'm just like, it'll come to me when it comes. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah.
So little practices like that every day. I
think there's good. There's very good, like lots of good to that. There's a little bad to it. And I have that same mindset. Like I can recognize how sometimes, for example, now I'm fixing things like I was on a walk with my dog and he was like pulling on my leash. He was pulling on the leash. Shout out Snoopy. The OG. And he was pulling on my leash and it caused my earbuds to fall out of my pocket. And I could only find one. And I was like, dang it. I can only find one of these earbuds. I can't find any of them. Now, typically, I'd be like, oh, well, I can just get new earbuds. If I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. At the end of the day, it's not going to ruin my day. But then I'm like, wait. Or you could just take a moment and look for it and feel a little passionate about it. So it's good to have that mindset of detachment. I think I'm so detached from things sometimes that I'm like, I need to remember, like, no, like, I don't need to just, like I don't need to just be like, oh, well, like, I can, like, fight for something.
There's definitely lines and levels to it. Yeah. There's a book by Mark Manson, The Subtle Art. I'm sure you've seen it. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a... Yeah. And he's in there, he says, in order to not give an F, there has to be something in your life for you to give an F about. So you need something. Yeah. You need something in your life to really cherish, to care for, something that you really love. Because if there's just everything in life that you just don't care about, that's not cool. If you're trying to be cool, that's not cool.
No, not cool. Not cool, guys.
Because I was trying to be cool while reading the book, trying to not care, be nonchalant, dreadhead, but no.
No nonchalantness. We only chalanting right here.
Only chalant. Nah, sometimes. Nonchalant. But there has to be something in your life that you care about. And once I found that thing in my life, it became really easy to just neglect the things that don't matter and that don't serve me. And I love the term "don't serve me" because I feel like that's something that you practice a lot in your life, and you filter a lot of the things that come in your life. And I've noticed that within you. I feel like top 5 people, I think you're the top that's done that, and you have a really good filtering system. And I think that's because you take really good care of yourself and you don't shy away from self-improvement and self-care.
Yeah.
No matter what, like if I'm on FaceTime with you, if I'm texting you or calling you, there's always something that you're doing that's good for you.
Yeah.
And I admire that.
Thank you.
So if there is like something that you can say to someone out there that's just like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, how do I get to that
mindset?
Yeah.
I think, like you said, there's one thing you have to give an F about, and the one thing I give an F about is like not ending up at like not being at my deathbed and having regrets. I'm like, I'm not going to regret anything. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to know I tried everything to be that higher self. Because this podcast I listened to called The Diary of a CEO, right? He's interviewing this guy. And this guy's a neuroscientist. And he talks about how it's so important to have a clear vision of your goals and a clear idea, because there is such because manifestation is real. Once you speak something into existence, it will occur. Like, that's your own form of prayer, essentially. And I have such a clear vision of that person, like that Yabsera, that it's like, if I let that slip out of my hands, that'll be the biggest regret of my entire life, not achieving my full potential. Because I can see her so clearly that it's like, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to be her. And that's why I'm like, I love taking care of myself. Like, because it just brings me closer to her. So you have to think, people don't think about who they want to be in the right context. Maybe they think about their future a lot, but they don't think about like who they want to be in the context of there's literally endless possibilities. It's just about, do you have a clear vision of what's going to make you happy in the end? Because a lot of people don't know what makes them happy. I know what makes me happy. What makes me happy is like pouring into myself and having all that self-love. I think that ties back into my lack of words of affirmation household, because there is very little, or even recognizing that, you can see this a lot with immigrant mothers, is that they are a little insecure. They're a little insecure on the inside. And so to see that, and to also see that I don't want that, and I do not want that life, it made me even more adamant about being so loving to myself and being like, I don't care what you say about me. At the end of the day, I know who I am. Like, I remember people this actually reminds me, I have this idea in my head that it's kind of like, I'd like to say that it's a positive, but for the most part, it's essentially like there's almost a little lack of spatial awareness. I'm very self-aware about my actions, and I'm always good criticism, bad criticism, etc., right? But as far as spatial awareness goes, like you said, like when I was making a TikTok earlier, he's like, oh, you could just do this in front of me. I'm like, well, like at the end of the day, I've always told myself, is this person in 10 years going to remember this moment? No, they're not.
I will.
The way I'm not even going to bring up what I'm going to bring up, because if I bring it up, you're not going to stop talking about it. That one thing you would always remind me of.
I was going to say it earlier, too. I was going to say it earlier.
Oh, my God.
Oh, the power is in my hands today.
Shut up. But
I won't bring it up.
For the most part, most people won't remember what you do in the next 10 years, or it won't be any sort of significance into their life. So therefore, that's why I'm like, it's very hard to embarrass me, like for the sake, and we've tried, gone through embarrassing things. But for the most part, it's just hard to make me feel like, oh, like people are watching me, like I should adjust my movements according to how people are viewing me or perceiving me. I never think about how people are perceiving me, because I'm never thinking about people that way. Like in my mind, when I walk out of the room, why would you be thinking of me? I'm not there. I'm not in that physical presence.
What made you develop that though? Like,
I think that's like me. It's hard to, because a lot of my friends, even one of my friends talked to me, he's like, everything I'm doing, I'm always thinking about how people are perceiving me. And I was like, that's crazy, because every time I do something, I'm never thinking about how people like are perceiving me, for the sake of being like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just another way of like where I sourced my like confidence from, in a sense of like I created that confidence in a household that should not have fostered that level of confidence, because I was like, I need to get out of this area. I need to get out of this environment, this mental environment, like the vibes, the aura, whatever. Like I need to be on another level here. So I'm going to have to support myself, and that all that self-love, like even though I make these like little jokes where I'm like, I seem a little egotistical, whatever, it's all jokes. But at the end of the day, it's because I just made sure that I'm at that level of confidence, because that's where I need to be in order to be her at the end of the day.
I do that a lot apparently. But do you think, because now I'm getting a vibe. First off, I also want to be clear to everybody that this is just one family, right? We're not speaking about all the moms.
No.
All the immigrant parents.
No.
I've heard some backlash on me saying I'm rude to immigrant parents, especially
you heard the
episodes
backlash?
back.
Really?
But
I think
we love our parents. I love my parents.
I love my mom, love my dad.
They both sacrificed so much for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my kids are gonna have a lot of things to say about me. We're just speaking about quiet things that just haven't been spoken about. We're all saying this just from love, from a place of love.
Yes.
Just wanted to make that clear before people just start making dumb assumptions.
You know what I think? I came to a really good realization this year. So, I grew up, obviously, like I said, my mom has like a military style of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously there was a lot of little rebellion. Some may say Filimon may have been a part of.
Hey, yo.
I'm just kidding. You remember the pool?
Oh.
A little rebellion here and there.
Yeah.
Anyways, once I got to college, I kind of realized, I was like, wait, my mom's just a girl. She's just a girl. This is her first life. Mm-hmm. Like, she's learning everything as she's going the same way I am. So why would I ever expect her to be able to do it right the first time? Exactly. Like, she's only a product of her environment. And then that made me be like, oh, she's just a girl. Like, mm-hmm. She's I kind of see like my family as like they're just learning everything from their view of what they grew up with, and I can't hold that against them. They don't know what I know, but not in the sense of like they know less, but they know more of something else that maybe I don't know. So their whole perspective is different. I think that made me that definitely alleviated the relationship and allowed me to be like, wow, okay, I understand now.
I was going to say something that reminded me of that. Uh-huh. It was like the pressure. Have you been doing that like this whole time?
No.
So while I'm looking through post editing, I'm going to.
We just see a lot of like breaking the fourth wall.
One thing I've noticed about people that have a lot of pressure from their homes is that it can go one of both ways.
Yeah.
They receive so much pressure, and then they create this thing inside of them. Mm-hmm. They feel all this like self-love within them, especially for you. Mm-hmm. What I'm perceiving is from this whole podcast. Mm-hmm. A lot of pressure, and you had no choice but to continue loving yourself. Mm-hmm. And you had so much self-love under this like heavy like
sphere.
But yeah, Patrick's house. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Heavy thing, heavy dome. House. Dome, that's a word.
Yeah.
Heavy dome around you. Mm-hmm. And once that you were out, it's kind of like the slingshot effect.
Yeah.
Now you can actually feel like the results. Do you feel like that?
Like the product, like the bearing the fruits of my labor.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yep. Oh, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely, that's a thing. Even once I got out the house, I was like, the work doesn't stop here. It only gets harder, and which it did. And so even though I felt like I was definitely bearing the fruits of my labor, like setting myself up now, like I remember when I got my first job in college and they're like, you have so much experience. I was like, yeah, when I started work, I've been working since my age was in single digits. Like, I've been working since that hard. So I'm very happy to be bearing the fruits of like the hard work there. And that only shows me like just how much easier I'm going to make my life later on if I continue to like be on that path. Do you feel like
That's
you're bearing
great.
the fruits of your labor from early Filimon?
I feel like I never bear the fruits. I feel like I'm always just in labor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the only time I bear the fruits is when I'm in like a situation that puts me to the test of the fruits that I've been silently working on. The labor I've been silently working on.
The
Too many
silent labor.
analogies.
Yes.
Silent labor. Yeah, I feel like I'm just laboring all the time.
Or maybe you don't give yourself enough recognition.
I've been told that I don't, but I don't. Well, I don't know. I feel weird just like talking up about myself and going around and doing this and do that. I prefer to just like stay mellow, keep to myself, quiet confidence. And if
Quiet
people say what they
confidence is
say,
good.
they say what they say.
That's true. Quiet confidence is good, I would say. I think like at the end of the day, I always say when it comes to one person versus another, you can never expect for somebody to advocate for you over themselves. Like, I always think about this just in like any sort of relationship, like between friends, between people, between adults. At the end of the day, you have to remember that if it came down to you or them, they're picking them. They're going to pick themselves. So who's going to pick you? Sorry. That's what I always tell myself. I'm like literally when interacting with any person, like, they're picking them at the end of the day, so who's picking you? Like, you have to pick you every day.
She playing life like it's Squid Games, guys.
Yes, I love Squid Games. Please put me on.
You would not last a day in
That's
Squid
not
Games.
true. I know exactly how to last, right? The loud, cocky guy always goes.
I don't
Always
watch
try
the
to
show,
control
just
the
so you
show.
know, but
This is
continue.
how it always goes. Loud, cocky guy, always out because everyone slowly forms something against him. The women, they try to form something together. They got to go anti-man. Usually it doesn't work out in their favor. Sometimes does. But let you be like old and nimble or have some sort of backstory or you're getting through. All you have to do is fly under the radar a little bit. You have to never let people perceive you. People don't like to think that somebody's better than them. So like people who are on the show, like the doctor, right? He ended up getting out, right? Because people are like, oh, he just thinks he's better than us. What does he need this money for? This and that. You have to always let people think that they have a one-up on you. Because once people think they have a one-up on you and you know they think that, you're good to soar because they're always going to perceive you as like, oh, I know exactly what they're going to do. Because like I said, the brain is a predictive model. So once somebody thinks that they know the no on you and they know like how you're going to move, then they're like, okay, perfect. This person is secure. Like I know what they're going to do. I'm confident. But as soon as you make somebody feel unsure about what you're going to do, then they're going to keep you on your radar. Then they're going to form like, oh, this is a possible enemy. So you like playing into the being nimble and playing into the, oh, like, woe is me, but not too much. Like relatable, but like, oh, like I would never go on there and be like, oh, I'm a neuroscientist. No, if I had to go on Squid Games, I'd be like, oh, like I'm a preschool teacher. Like you have to let people undermine you because it gives them more security in their heart. Because then they're like, oh, this person isn't going to outthink me. Like when it comes to 1v1, I'll beat them, right? Because everyone's just looking for their best opponent, like best opponent.
I feel like that's more effective in competitive worlds or environments compared to like everyday life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like if I was in Squid Games, like cut to the clip, Netflix put me on. But
One last episode. You got two lines in there.
I will. I'll be a great character, bro. Just put me on, bro. You're not gonna suspect my win. But
silent winner.
But yeah, it is a good motto for life because even when you're thinking about business or you're thinking about even going into scenarios, like let's say I'm going into a scenario where I have to talk to like some sort of dean, right? Or some sort of supervisor or someone above me. As long as I make them feel comfortable about the decision they're about to make, I can maneuver their decision. Like let's say, let me think of an example for this. Like, let's say I'm in a business meeting, right? And I'm trying to advocate an idea, and I'm trying to advocate like, oh, like this is an idea that I have that we can start, or this is a change that we can make in the company, right? All I have to do is convince somebody that my idea is their idea. And once I convince them that they thought of it, they're going to be like, oh, I thought of it. And I'm like, you're right. Like, you contributed this and this. This is the path that you're already on because of this A pattern and B pattern. Therefore, I was only a vessel to this idea that you've created. And suddenly they feel calm and comfortable in making that decision that is in the same like realm of what you wanted, the outcome you wanted. Like, if I was talking to, this is what I would usually do. Like, if I was trying to convince my mom of something,
She
right?
sound like this come from experience, like she manipulating people. Nah,
No,
she's not.
not manipulation. Just, good conversation.
Okay.
But like, if I was talking to my mom and I wanted something, I'd always be like, I'd always first be like, oh, this and this needs to get done. Point A, right? And then point B would be like, oh, and this is how it contributes to you, and this is how it makes your life easier. And then point C is like what I want. And then it would always work. Sorry, Mom. That's how you have to format how you're presenting something to somebody to get them to agree with you.
So like we're working as a team, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. People don't want to feel like they're on the opposite end, because then they feel like they have to be defensive. Then they have to view you as like you're against them, or they have to like, or if they agree with you, that they're losing something. You have to always convince somebody if they're agreeing with you, they're gaining something, even if they're losing.
She's cooking. Yeah, she's cooking.
Talking about in it.
She been wait, that's crazy. She been waiting for this podcast moment since day one. Everything has been marinating. And now she's just cooking every second. Every second.
Clip after clip.
Clip after clip. Think about all the clips right now. You clip farming. Wow. Just digesting everything you just said.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Okay. So, freshman year, right? I started reading the 50 Laws of Power, or 48 Laws of Power. Freshman year of college, yes. Okay. I started reading that book, and I remember I love how this book portrays everything, because it'll tell you a law and it'll give you the evidence throughout history that it happened, right? And one thing I remember learning is like, obviously, one is that it's good to keep people at a distance. Like, and he'll talk about it. He talks about this story about this king who became a king, like, because the more and more people knew about him, the more they could like feel like, oh, like he's on our level. So the more distance you can keep between someone, like, or the more distance you can keep between, like, I guess your subordinates, let's say in like a work environment, the more that you can like validify your position as being higher up. Like, people should have less access to you. You have to be very aware of the access that people have to you, because the more people can access like your daily life, or the more people can access your patterns, the more people will see you like on par with them and never like think of you as greater than, or sometimes even think of you as less than, because they're like I said, demand and supply. If it's so easy for me to access your life, how valuable is your life? And the less accessible it is, the more I'm like, oh, I want to know more. Like, who is this person? That's the one thing that's tricky about social media, is that I really love to record these videos and come up with ideas. But I also I like to make sure that I'm being in a position where I'm not always just giving everybody 100% access to my life. Because you have to be very careful about the people that you allow.
So this is in terms of like disclosure to people that you're like
close to. Like, that whole book is laws and powers that can be used in like work dynamics, friendships, relationships, everything. And that book also like really taught me about being quiet is being very powerful, and sitting on knowledge and not immediately confronting it is very powerful. for example, we'll say person A. So
person that was earlier.
No. This person was not brought up. So there was a position where person A had made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Me, person B, knew about said mistake, right? So I had a choice in that moment. I could be like, boom, I am going to confront you right here, right now, with high emotions, with high tension, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Or option B, I could plot, think, and see how I'm going to assess the situation so that all outcomes are best for me. So obviously I don't go with option A because I'm like, no, because I read the book and I was like, I'm now sitting on new knowledge and I can use this to my advantage here, and therefore take person A at a blind side, right? So person A makes this mistake, and I'm sitting on this information for like 3, 4, 5 days probably, and boom, I'm like, okay, I've plotted, I've thought about what I'm going to do, I've come to the decision on what's going to happen, and I'm using my silence as, like, my silence puts me in an advantage here. So what I did instead, because I was like, you know what, I want them to pay the price a little bit. Zoom in on that face. Pay the price a little bit. And the one thing that can
we do not condone bullying.
It's not bullying. It's not bullying. It's not bullying.
Okay.
No. This is actually what I would condone for you to do, like, if somebody does something wrong to you, like,
okay.
Because it's a good thing. It's a good tactic. So, person A makes the mistake. I'm plotting. I've come to my decision. The one thing that builds anxiety and fear is the lack of knowledge. So the lack of this person knows of the current situation, the more that they can conspire and overthink in their mind, right? Without me having to do anything malicious. Therefore, let's say this this whole period of possible confrontation, right? We're at the last day before I go and I leave to somewhere else, right? So instead of doing anything, right, I am on my last day. I'm saying goodbye. I'm like, bye. Everything seems fine and dandy. And then I get on my plane. No contact. Not, like, never heard from again, right? And that only fostered, like, obviously ghosting is not great, but that only showed me that in that situation, I could have very easily given up my power in that moment of confrontation, but I reclaimed it and I used it to my advantage. And I didn't have to do anything malicious. I didn't have to do any sort of dirty work or get my hands dirty or feel like I had to plot something, because at the end of the day, silence creates fear and disruption in that person's mind and only allowed me to succeed. And that's as vaguely as I can describe that scenario.
You described it well, as vague as it was.
Yeah.
I think they'll still get it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I think there's a reason they don't allow that book in prisons.
No, they don't. Because it's a really good way of understanding social hierarchy and understanding how to get people and the world around you to work for you. That's why I love his books.
So, okay, seeing you right now,
mm-hmm.
You have power. You practice some of these laws. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure younger you seeing this right now would be like
she got it. Eh?
What would younger you think of you right now?
I would hope she'd be proud. There has definitely been road bumps along the way. I think younger me, my aunt tells this story actually. So when I was 8, I had a leap whatever. Like the leap pad frog, whatever. Like those fake iPads. You remember those? No? Okay, whatever. They'll know.
Not searched up.
But I had one of these. And so that's what I'm figuring I wrote this on, because she tells me this story and she says, I was in the back of her Nissan and I had essentially planned out my entire life up into adulthood and set every milestone and goal for myself and was like, this is what I'm going to do when I'm this age. This is what I'm going to do at this age. I'm going to graduate with this GPA. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to like end up here. And I was, even at that time, I was cognizant of the fact that things will change, but this is the general timeline. And she's shocked. She's driving, and I'm sitting here telling her, well, I actually listed out everything I'm going to do with my life, and it's going to go exactly like this. And even I think about that list now, and there's definitely things that have changed on that list. But for the most part, it's about the idea that I still at that age had such a clear thought of what I wanted to do. I think she would still be proud of me now. Have there been changes along that path? Yes. But have I still been very replicable of that same mindset? Also, yes.
Okay. Because I remember when you were younger, you used to have like this weird thing when you were younger. Oh my gosh.
When I was young?
You were definitely like goal driven in terms of like list everything.
To-do list, get it done.
Your life to-do list.
Yeah.
And I think still today, you still kind of carry those traits. But I remember back then, like, it was like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I didn't, not that I wasn't thinking I'm sure you're going to get it. But, like, I'm like, dang, this girl, like, knows. Like, she's on it. She's on top of it.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And I think even younger me, there was a discrepancy in knowing what I wanted to get done and also being aware of what failure meant. Because when you're someone that's so confident, right, people are just waiting for you at the drop of a hat to not do what you said. People are waiting for you to like make a mistake. And I was aware of that, and that never really added so much pressure in my head because I'm like, so what? Like at the end of the day, I tried and you didn't. So, but it also led to this like accumulation of ideas of like, oh, like failing now is really big. Like a sense of almost like, is everything I'm doing enough for how big I want to be? Literally a couple days ago, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was talking to these fake friends, right? Not that they're like fake friends, but like I didn't know who these people were. I can remember their faces, but like they were not replicable of anybody in my actual life. Okay. And I was like, do you guys have this like impending thought of doom? Like something bad's gonna happen? Like,
you asked them that?
Yeah. I was like, I feel like I was like, and they're like, yeah, I feel that way. Like everything's just going like, I feel like even if I'm doing everything, it's not enough. Like, I feel like even if I'm on track, it's still not enough. And I'm just like, yeah, I feel the same way. And that was the only thing I remembered from that dream. And I remember talking to my friend about it later. She was like, thoughts like this are going to happen. I was like, yeah, but that was very key wording, impending thought of doom. Like, that was very key wording in that sentence. So there was always like a little imposter syndrome, but it's never been something that's fazed me to the point where it's caused me to feel like, you know what, I have to give it all up now.
That's a very, like, do you think these are just like random people from other sides of the earth meeting at a hub?
Maybe, because these people, when I can say, they do not look like a single person in my actual life, but I can remember their face still. I can still remember like what their face looked like and like a little bit of the environment that I was in. But I very much remember being like, does anybody else feel this impending thought of doom? Like, and they're like, yeah, like, I feel like everything's going crazy right now. And I was like, oh, maybe that was my mind trying to self-actualize comfort in the idea of like, oh, I feel like even though I'm on track for things that I want right now, it's still not enough. And there's something bad that's going to happen.
I feel like dreams are just so trippy. I love talking about dreams. Actually, no,
I don't really get a lot of dreams too. So that's, oh yeah.
That's not.
We do have a.
Wait, what?
Oh, say it.
That's not like, what was I going to say? I don't have a lot of dreams, but I did have one dream a long time ago, and I want to hear your neuroscience opinion. I know, like, okay, you're in school, you're not 100% in, but your Yabsera opinion.
Yes.
I had this dream. I was just figuring myself out in life. I didn't know where I was. I just had so many different parts of me that was like conflicted, very conflicted, different sides of me. So I'm in this dream. I wake up, I'm in my bed, and I go upstairs, and I see all of my family members, all the grown adults, just like, the vibe was like Super Bowl Sunday, or just a Super Bowl event. We're all watching TV. Men here, all the guys here, just like drinking, throwing drinks, having fun, crashing out, doing all this stuff. And then I see like 2 aunties in the corner just like whispering about something. And then I see like all the moms over here just like doing this and doing that. It was just very chaotic. And then I see an auntie throw another auntie down the stairs, and they're wrestling each other. And then it was just so chaotic. And then I was just thinking, I don't know if I searched it up, I don't know what it was, but I concluded that those were different sides of me that were like trying to figure each other out in one period of my life. So I think,
where did this dream end? Like, at what point did you wake up?
I think after my aunt
threw the other
ground.
And it started with you just going up the stairs and like seeing everything happening. I would say, like, my opinion of it really is that I think that's a good perspective, like different sides of you. But from an outside perspective, right, you're a very peaceful person, right? A lot of everything you do is like you said, quiet confidence. Like, everything's very, just has a je ne sais quoi.
Whoa.
Like, and then je ne sais quoi is like essence.
Yeah, essence,
right?
Okay, I know.
So
you can keep going.
Oh, bro. But like I said, everything's very peaceful. And sometimes in order to have peace, you must have chaos, right? And like, let's say yin and yang. In order to have a positive, there must be some sort of negative. If everything was positive and happy all the time, you would never know or be able to appreciate happiness because you've never experienced sadness, right?
There's no light without dark, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So as somebody who sees you as having such a peaceful life, sometimes maybe there's such a lack there of chaos that's being expressed that needs to happen. Maybe there's like disruption is also another pathway to order in some senses. So maybe it's that need for some sort of disruption because you're so used to the order that you have.
That's a good guess.
Good guess. Good possibility.
That's not bad. I never thought about it like that. I saw it more as inner conflict, just a lot of inner disorder that hasn't.
I don't know. It's very interesting that it's specifically your family members that are there. Like, from my understanding, right, the relationship with the family is very good. Like, you have a good relationship with your mom and your sisters and your dad, to my understanding. So to think of something where there's fighting and there's throwing things and this and that, like, people who have so much order in their life will crave some sort of chaos even without knowing it.
Well, I don't know if
I don't know if you crave chaos, but it's like
chaos.
I don't know about craving chaos, but that's my educated guess.
Maybe like a little spice in life that I was missing or something. That's good. I like that because it's new.
Yes.
I'm still gonna stick with my theory.
Well, yeah. That's okay though.
Chaos, I never really, because I've heard about the theory that people like crave. But we can get in. This is a story for another day. But like when women are more attracted to the bad guys, it's because deep down they crave that, and that person is living that life, and that's why. It's
like they crave that uncertainty almost. From my understanding, I'm not somebody who's particularly trying to attract the bad guys.
The bad guys.
No. But from my understanding, women in that situation that I guess they prefer the bad guy over the nice guy, it's never that nice guys finish last. That's not true at all. It's never that. I will explain. I have a hill I will die on about that. But it's that bad guys, they bring a certain they bring a level of uncertainty that can always put you in a position of like, lack of homeostasis, let's say, if we were bringing a neuroscience perspective of it. When you are, let's say, like when you're on edge, right? Everything is heightened, like adrenaline is pumping, like, because you don't know what's happening next. Like one day he could be hot, one day he could be cold. Like something about that thrill can be almost addictive for some people. So when people like say like, oh, like women like bad guys, like it's very particularly unhealed women that go for that type, because it's that seeking uncertainty, like because of that fear of like maybe like consistency or complacency or just feeling almost bored, right?
That is definitely a topic for another day, because I could go crazy on that.
But on that hill, right, I don't think nice guys finish last. I think there's a difference we're pro nice guys around here. There's a difference between nice guys that are nice guys and then nice guys that like make you their whole life.
Kind and nice. I feel like those are two different things, right?
Like it's different. There's the nice guys that like they take good care of themselves, like they are focused on their own thing, like they have their own lives. And then there's a nice guy that it's like you're the best thing he has going for him. You never want to be the best thing a guy has going for him. One of the bests, but not the best. But not the best thing. Because then it's like, you're like, it almost feels like a leech, like onto you, like their life source is dependent on you.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. But no, we're pro nice guys around here.
I feel like every friendship and relationship like requires that level of detachment.
Yeah, it
from the other
does.
person.
That's the best way. Like to be two entities that have their own things and own goals and own aspirations. I think one person said it to me and they put it best. Your aspiration is not to be like, I'm not looking forward to one day to like being like, oh, that's my wife. No, that's Yabsera. Like she's just outside of just being just my wife. She's also like this and this and that, and she does this, and this is what makes her happy. Like losing your personhood and your individuality in a relationship is what I think like just breeds resentment, because it's like, oh, like now I feel stuck, and nobody wants to feel stuck.
I think people recognize that about you throughout this podcast, that you don't like to. Why am I still doing it?
I know.
That you don't like to stick. This has a bad connotation to it, but you don't like to stick to a label.
No, I don't.
And you love to have your own flexibility.
Change. I like flexibility. I like freedom. And that can be interpreted badly. It can be interpreted in the sense of, oh, maybe she has commitment issues. I do not have commitment issues. Like, if I want something, I stick to it regardless. I like being put in new situations where it's just like, I'm getting to learn more about not only just the environment about me, but how that's going to like teach me more about myself.
Okay. So do you think like going to these new places, like, because I know you travel a lot, you like to try new things, experience new things. Do you think that's made you a better person overall? I've always been curious about people.
It's different people. Like you can be fed from travel or be the one like, or you can like not take from it as much as you can. Like I love a good cultural experience. I love learning something new from a culture or a background or the history behind it, or making connections. Like I love that type of travel. Not very much like lounge on the beach travel, right? So you can go to new places and not learn much about the place that you're at. Or you can go to new places and still make connections. Like I remember traveling on my own to Europe, which was really cool. Like I loved it. And it also just taught me about like interacting in my environment. Like at one point you realize you're one of 8 billion. And one of 8 billion is going to be one of like a couple million in a city. And so you're so small to the significant like decisions or pathways being made that day that you have to like, you have to start thinking about your life in like an even bigger aspect. Yes, I've grown up in one place for a long time, But at the same time, like, what's stopping me from moving to a new place the next day? What's stopping me from going to a new area or packing up my bags and just immediately changing my life? Like, for me, there's not a lot stopping me, and I like to keep it that way, because it's like, if something's stopping you in that moment, you're choosing comfort and saying no to a new version of yourself, no matter what struggle you're going to go through.
Comfort's a deadly weapon.
Yes.
Very deadly weapon. Mm-hmm. Do you avoid comfort?
I would say so. I'd say in a healthy and unhealthy way. I think I have a unfortunate relationship with comfort, in the sense that a lot of my friends will say, like, you can never just sit down. And I'm like, you're right. I can't really just sit down. Like, my friends, like, trying to get me to watch a show. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, even if you recommend me the show, I'm probably not watching it, because I never just sit down and watch a show.
Me too.
Yeah. If I'm sitting down watching a show, there's my laptop, there's something going on. Like,
sorry, that's what you mean. Okay, you mean like multitasking while watching.
Like, no, even in the sense, like, I don't like to sit down and watch a show. Like, I just don't enjoy, like, and I wish I did, but at the same time, my mind's always thinking about, like, what could I be doing in this moment? Like, how could I be optimizing this? And sometimes you have to think about times where less optimization is going to be better for you in that moment than more. Like, taking the time to be present and relax is going to be better than taking the time to be like, oh, I'm doing this, but let me do this, but let me do that, but let me, like, be the most productive in this moment. I don't know. But like I said, every time my friend recommends me a show, like, I'm sorry, I'm telling you, I'm not going to watch the show.
I'm the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that reminds me of the motto, like, work 100% and relax 100%. Whatever you do, go all in. So I'm trying to carry that to my
I think that's a good phrase to go for. I mean, yeah, work 100%, relax 100%. Like, I can see exactly how that should resonate. It's just hard, because then once you migrate the two, I think my work is not work to me, because I've chosen something that I love so much that when I'm working on it, that's like, it's fun. It's enjoyable. And that's what I think the goal is. Everyone needs to find something that where they're working towards something, that thing is like not work to them. Because once it feels like work, you're just you're working to live, or you're living to work instead of like working so that you can live.
Oh.
And that's the goal. Like, the goal is to be able to live at the end of the day. And the less you make work feel like work, the more you're getting the opportunity to live.
That reminds me of something that I didn't learn it this week. I've been knowing the story, but I was reminded of the story this week. Our work is kind of like a meditation.
Oh, sorry.
I thought something turned off. You scared? Our work is like a meditation. And there was a story about this monk in this Zen monastery. I don't know what it was. And they're figuring out, they're trying to see who the Zen master was. This was just a story, I think. Yeah. And forgive me if I get the story wrong, but there's this monk, he was assigned to beat matcha. Like, he was just a matcha beater.
Oh, Mochi.
Mochi.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, where they like pound it.
Mochi.
Like, I've seen those videos.
He was beating Mochi, and that was like his job. And he was told to just focus on the Mochi and nothing else. Focus on the form. Focus on how hard you hit it, how you do it, how it looks like when you hit it, and everything. And he just does this for years and years and years, until eventually he just becomes wise and becomes so self-aware. And he was eventually chosen to be the Zen master because his job was just a meditation. It was just an in and out, a back and forth, and he was just focusing on like how he was doing it and becoming better at it. So I feel like us living our lives every single day, if done correctly, in itself is a meditation. How do you feel about this story?
I feel like my life compels that, because to put me in front of something a repeated task and make me essentially complete that task and on a continuous loop is like torture. Like the idea of not getting to be introduced to anything new, or the idea of not being able to like see some sort of change. Like if I was put in that position, I'd be like, okay, what's the best way I can do this? Or like, what are the different ways that the mochi could come out? But that's the whole point, is you're not supposed to think that way. So I think the way I've lived my life completely compels that, but not because the way I live my life is better, but because it's almost hard to sit alone with yourself like that and to have to think about it's just you and the mochi, like it's just you and the work at the end of the day. Like a lot of people don't like to sit in silence or meditate because they don't like to be alone with themselves, because they don't like maybe where their thoughts go. But personally, I'm completely fine with being alone with myself. But being alone with myself and also not being able to think of any sort of change or new perspective is kind of crazy to think about.
So you're very like, you try to be very versatile and flexible and try to move around.
Like a jack of all trades, essentially. That's why I'm always picking up all these new things.
I feel like if you do so many things, you're mid in all of them. That's the one thing about being a jack of all trades, is that it doesn't allow you to be an expert in one subject, right? And I think there's a lot of benefits in being an expert in one subject. But how I see it is, it's also like just another door being opened. Every time I try something new, it's another door that's opened. Another conversation starter, another opportunity to meet new people, another life path that can be taken. So that's why I'm like, okay, yes. Am I going to be the best golfer, horseback rider, boxer in the world? No, I'm not. But I'm going to do it the best I can in each of these subjects. And that's going to open its own doors for me in some sort of way. So like the experience of trying new things within itself kind of like shifts you into becoming who you are regardless of how good you are at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, I just formed that like...
Okay.
Dang, I should write 50 words of 50 rules of whatever. No, yeah, that was a good way of putting it, because I feel like there was some hobbies that you did a long time ago. Let me stop. But
just sedate me already.
We're gonna unwind, land the plane a little bit.
Oh, I see.
And we're gonna
the plane of deep thought.
The plane of deep thought. You've been pretty good.
Thank you.
Tying to your platform, the platform that you're trying to build.
Yes.
In there, you give a lot of advice, a lot of tips of the day, a lot of things that you just give so much. So if you were to either pick or combine everything to just one advice from your content that you could give to the people out there watching this, the best advice that you've ever received, given, anything revolving your platform, let them know.
Okay, I need a moment to think.
Take the time you need.
I would say the best advice that I could give and that I have received and learned over time is, one, we've talked about this, is that one, you are your only and best advocate in every situation. And there is absolutely, you should never be in a circumstance where someone else is advocating for you more than you can advocate for yourself. And to tie that into more of, I guess, like an emotional aspect, is that no one can love you more than you love yourself. And I think if you're ever trying to search, and how that can be applied is that if you're ever searching for that type of validation out of somewhere else, you're only going to be met with just how much you love yourself, because you teach people how to treat you. I have to say, I hope that the people resonate with that, because I think that's just the overall, like, if you had to bunch everything in my life to what it is, to being confident, to working hard, to loving taking care of myself, and to like not putting up with anybody saying this and that about me, it's because I know that you teach people how to treat you. You are your best advocate in every situation, and people can only love you as much as you love yourself. So you can never go out looking for anything without looking for within yourself first. That's what I would say.
That was good. Cooking again. No, you're actually doing
I know, I'm like mentally 30. That's what I always say. I'm always like, yeah, I'm 30.
I'm trying to not tell myself that, because when my friends call me Unk, not the 30s Unk, not the 30s Unk.
It is Unk.
Yeah, it is, I guess.
Yeah.
It reinforces that Unk in me, so I just tell myself.
Trying to keep your youth up.
Try to keep my youth up. That's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, this was a great podcast. Yabsera, you did an amazing job. Round of applause. I know I keep clapping, but this is just, I was literally going to do that too, but whatever. Yeah, okay. But yeah, you did a great job. I think a lot of people would resonate with what you're saying. All the things that you tied together, all the things that you brought up, all the experiences that you went through could definitely benefit someone watching. Little Yabseras out there. Yes. Little Phillies out there. What's good, little Phillies? Hey. Yeah, thank you so much for joining the show. It means a lot for you to get on here. Her content should be in the link in the should be in the
Oh, let's try that again.
Should be the link in the description. If you want to check her out, you know where her content is. Pineapple raspberry, lip singing. Hello, my name is Yabsera, and Filimon is the best friend thing. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna catch you guys. Peace out.